So hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for the District 211 Virtual Career Expo. My name is Susan Turner, and I am the Career Advisor at Palatine High School. Also here with us tonight is Miriam Castro, the College and Career Counselor for Palatine High School. We will be moderating this evening's session.
So the Student Services Department has multiple staff members to assist your student with their career exploration. Our school counselors will guide your student with information specific to their individual career path. Our college career counselor in each building provides additional supports for specific career exploration tools as well. Lastly, our career advisors provide information related to internships, job opportunities, career assistance, and even provide field trips to different career fields in our area. I'm going to drop a link in the chat. So Susan, you can take it away.
Yeah, before we get started with the presentations, if everyone viewing from home can go click on that attendance link that Ms. Castro is putting into the chat bar. It'll take you to a really quick survey just so we know who's joining us tonight. So we really appreciate you doing that for us. Okay. So tonight we have a wonderful group of speakers who will be discussing their careers in education with us. During the presentations, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask, please drop them into the Q&A. If time doesn't allow us to get to your question, I will be in touch with the panelists after the webinar and we'll get your questions answered, and then we'll email out the answers to everybody who's joining us tonight. Our speakers tonight are Ms. Helen Figueroa from the Technology Center of DuPage, Ms. Laura Candry from School District 59, Ms. Antigone Sherris from Triton College, and Ms. Anna Peterson from the Schaumburg Township District Library. And without any further delay, I would like to introduce our first speaker, Ms. Helen Figueroa. You got to go off mute.
Let's try that again. Hi, everyone. I'm Helen Figueroa, and anytime I get to talk to a group of students about teaching and teachers, it's a good night. So I'm glad to be here. I am an early childhood education instructor at the Technology Center of DuPage. We are a career and technical education school in DuPage County in Addison, Illinois. What I do is I am working with and teaching students that are interested in becoming teachers themselves. So I'm very lucky on the day-to-day and what I do. Some of the things that I do with my students, I not only get to work with them and teach them about the field of teaching, but we also have a preschool lab. So those teachers, those student teachers are going in the lab and they're working with preschoolers every day. So I also get to work with them on setting up an environment, a classroom environment for our preschoolers, learning how to lesson plan, and then observing these students over the course of the year and how I see them grow from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. Some of the other things that I do on a daily basis, and I think this is true for all teachers, we are nurses, we are problem solvers, we not only teach, but we learn. We are always learning. And so when I get to sit down and have conversations with my students, that's probably one of the most exciting times because I actually get to hear what they have to say and what their thoughts are on working in a classroom and what is available to them as they move through their career path. My personal education and where I started out was I thought I was going to be a preschool teacher, went to college and got an undergrad degree, a bachelor's degree in elementary education from Northern Illinois University, and then went on to Loyola University and got my master's in curriculum and instruction. So I have been fortunate enough to follow a path where I got a lot of experience in different age groups. So I've worked with preschoolers, I've taught elementary school, I'm currently teaching high school juniors and seniors, and I worked for 10 years teaching at Elmhurst College as an adjunct professor. So I've been very lucky to work with all different ones. A lot of times I get the question, what's your favorite? And typically my favorite is the ones that I'm working with at that time. They're all different. They all bring wonderful things to the table, the youngest to the oldest. And so I learn from the youngest to the oldest on what they have to offer me and bring to the table themselves. One of the big things that I wish I had known as a student going into education was what path to follow, what courses to take, and what I needed when I graduated. Teachers in the state of Illinois in school districts have to have a license. And I don't think a lot of students realize that. They sometimes mix up the qualifications between what you need for a child care center and what you need to work in a school district. So it's really important for students to know what is expected in coursework and what courses to take to get them to the end result that they want. So if that's to be a licensed teacher in a school district, or is it to work in a child care center or a preschool? So it really helps to have a clear vision and clarification from your counselors at the college. So make sure that you get that information. But I think some of the things to think about are when you're actually working with a college, do they have the coursework that you're going to need? Right. Thank you. I hope I answered some questions.
Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Ms. Figueroa. That was really, really excellent. I think it was great to hear how, you kind of said as a teacher, you're also this lifelong learner and you learn right alongside of your students. I thought that was really great. All right, now we're going to turn to Ms. Candry.
My name is Laura Candry. I am a junior high PE teacher, and I also teach health a little bit. I teach 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade PE. And I also teach adapted PE, which is special education students all in one class. So that is awesome. Day to day, I teach 6 PE classes. They're all about 40 minutes long. What else? I do locker room duty. So that's great in junior high. Lunch supervision, and then I coach 6th grade boys and girls soccer every year to get to know my students better and just kind of have that rapport with them. I went to Conan High School, then I went to Illinois State University in the PE program there. I knew from a young age that I wanted to be a teacher. I never knew what kind of teacher. So one day I came home senior year of high school and my mom told me she picked my major for me and she thought I was good at sports, so she picked PE teaching. So I kind of just went along with it. I was just going to take all my gen ed classes and see where it took me. And I ended up falling in love with it. That's probably not the case for many people, but I got super lucky. Being a PE teacher, you have to take content exams to prove that you know what you're talking about when you're teaching. So I had to take a PE and health content exam. I did a TPA. That's just right at the end of your student teaching. I don't think they're doing it anymore, but it kind of just tests you and the type of teacher you are and you reflect on that. And now I am in grad school for integrated curriculum and I'm going to get my LBS 1 next month in March. So I just kept doing school, but I think I'm about done with it. Different personality traits. I wrote a couple down. Being junior high is a very specific age group to work with. Anyone I tell that I'm a junior high teacher, they say, it takes a special type of person to work with those kids. I personally love them because they are chaotic, they're hormonal, but they are honest, and they're just very moldable at that age. Some of them don't have, at my school, I work at a low income school, so a lot of them don't have positive adult role models in their life. So just being able to build that rapport with them is rewarding to me, and I love doing that every day, even if it's pretty difficult, but love the junior high kids. They are so weird, and I'm weird, so love teaching those guys. So to be a junior high teacher, I would say biggest things are being flexible with any teacher. Every day is different. You never know what's coming at you. Being resilient. A lot of teachers take things personally that kids say to them, but again, You got to leave that at school. You can only do the best you can every day. You can't take it home with you because then it's way too hard to be a teacher. Being a team player, working with other subject departments, that's big. You're learning from other teachers. Love doing that. Mental health conscious. Right now, a lot of people want to be teachers. However, a lot of teachers are not taking care of themselves because they're trying to take care of the students only. So I would just make sure that you are on top of yourself. You take care of yourself too, and just be conscious about that. And then I think the biggest thing is just developing genuine and meaningful relationships with your students. That's how you get them to do, especially in PE. A lot of kids hate PE. They don't want to do anything. They're embarrassed about themselves, especially in junior high. But having that rapport with them, just like I said, coaching sports helps a lot. And then one piece of professional advice that I have for all of you is do something that you love. Don't go into teaching to be a coach. My brother is about to graduate college, and he has a lot of friends that are doing PE teaching because they think that they're going to be a coach and that's what they're going to do. But a lot of people drop out of teaching right away the first couple of years because they figure out that they don't want to be a teacher. The kids see that they're just focusing on coaching. So really figure out who you are as a person, what you like and what you want to do, and kind of make that your goal as you are finishing out high school and figuring out your college experience and what you want to do with that. Because teaching is emotionally draining, long hours, but it is the most rewarding profession I can ever imagine. And I love it so much and I would never leave it. But again, if you're just going in it for the money or any of that stuff, I would consider otherwise, or consider shadowing other teachers just to see kind of how it is. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Cantry. Like that advice of doing what you love, I think is so important. And also that idea of, matching it to your personality. Like you said, you like to work with the kid, and you feel like it's a good fit for you. And I think that is a really good lesson to share. So, all right, next we're going to move on to Miss Sherris from Triton College.
Hello, everyone. In my case, I also have a degree in teaching, ironically. My bachelor's, I got it from U of I Champaign in vocational and technical education. I did not get a degree in engineering itself. I came upon my love of teaching very similar to Laura, in the sense that I wanted to teach basically from 6th grade. My social studies teacher, Mrs. Hardig, I told her I love history and I'd love to teach that subject area. And she told me there's no future in history as far as teaching. That was her thing to me. But she said, you like to make things, because I used to do the Parthenon. I made pyramids and everything else as extra credit stuff. So, and I was lucky I went to a technical high school. Conan has some totally awesome program opportunities for youth, like I had at mine when it was that way, Lane Tech, when it was Lane Tech. And I had shop, and my senior year, I got to work in a woman-owned manufacturing company. So I was like, yeah, I enjoy building things. Let's turn this into a career. So I went to U of I Champaign. Long story short, a semester and a half in, I told them I wanted to do something very technical, but not theoretical. And U of I basically had a theoretical engineering program. So they're like, oh, why don't you go and to your local community college, take classes in engineering tech, what I teach now. And I'm like, I'm not doing it down here. It's too expensive. So I went back home, and of all places, I did it at Triton College. And within a month, I was hired based on my portfolio that I had from high school, and a manufacturing company called LK Manufacturing. And then from there, I still finished my bachelor's. I just did it part-time. And ultimately, I did get my degree. It is in vocational ed. And I ended up picking up a master's in operations. And throughout it all, I had field experience. So it took me 7 years to finish my bachelor's, and I had 5 years of professional field experience working in engineering as a design engineer. And that's when I started teaching as a part-timer, as an adjunct at the community college. So if any of you hold your master's degrees, or like the PE side, see if you can do dual credit with your local community college. Those are opportunities. There's things that you can do to be able to connect to the community college system and then move on to university. So for me, it was a convoluted way to get my education done. My company ended up paying for most of my classes. The outcome was I had no debt. In a career, I enjoyed what I was doing. So I never looked at what time is it. I didn't look at my watch. I didn't mind it. The pay was very good. Switching to teaching obviously is a cut in pay from engineering. I did it because I wanted to pay it forward, and I was in a position where I could. The guys who were retiring, they said, hey, you should apply. I said, okay. So I started teaching about 20 some odd years ago, full time. Before that, I was adjunct. And then now, rolling it to now, we've got welding, manufacturing type curriculum across the board, 3D CAD modeling all the way through any type of fabrication. Then my next step is robotic welding. And back are pictures of our students. I like them happy, as you could see. These pictures are from pre-COVID. We've been in classroom the whole time, so all of our students have been learning, getting employed. And that's actually my favorite day is when they get employed. My second favorite is when they complete their degree or certificate. But my absolute favorite day is when they get into their career pathway. And that's what it's about. And that's what makes me stay in education. It's definitely worth the profession. Laura, as you put it, the hours are crazy and everything else, but it's worth the time and effort because the outcomes are a better tomorrow for everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Sherris. It's the reward is what I'm hearing at the end of the day is what really drives you to keep going. And thank you for sharing. You had a lot of really good real world kind of like pathways for the kids who are interested in that to go. So thank you very much. All right, now we're going to turn to Ms. Peterson from the library.
Hi, everybody. I am the teen librarian at the Schaumburg Township District Library. So I'm going to briefly talk about what I do from day to day. Now, there are different fields of librarianship that I can briefly touch on, but I am what's known as a public librarian, where when I got my master's, I took classes specifically to work in public libraries. And what you do from day to day actually depends on which department in the library you work in. Working in the teen department, I spend a lot of time working at the teen desk, where I answer questions, I help with book recommendations, keep an eye on the teens in the teen center, make sure they're behaving. I plan a lot of programs like volunteer sessions, fun like crafting programs, and informational programs like college prep classes. And I also order library materials. We have a very large young adult fiction and nonfiction collection, and I purchase books for that. We read a lot of like journal articles, reviews. It takes a lot of work to, to select books and materials. And I also attend a lot of outreach events. This is something that is very specific to my job as the outreach librarian. I attend a lot of school events. I work with community organizations to attend events that they have and assist with any services that they may need assistance with. There are academic librarians that work in colleges and universities. Their day-to-day activities are focused mainly on personal research that they do to publish scholarly articles, and they spend a lot of time at the reference desk to help college and university students with any projects that they may have going on. And then there's what's known as a special librarianship, which can include, if you can become a librarian at a law office, you can become a medical librarian where you work in the library at a hospital. So it just depends what field you're interested in. And my personal education pathway. I kind of came upon librarianship in a roundabout way. I have been working in libraries since I was 16, and then all through my undergrad. And it was just kind of a natural progression for me to go into librarianship. Now, to become a professional librarian, it does require a master's degree in library science. So it doesn't really matter what you do as undergrad. You know, we have people who have an engineering background. We have people, you know, who come with like a humanities background. Sorry, I accidentally muted myself. So yeah, your undergrad degree doesn't matter, but to be a professional librarian, you do have to take a year or two to get a master's. And depending upon the field of librarianship you choose to go in, additional education may be required. For example, in academic librarianship, usually academic librarians specialize in a certain academic field. For example, there are librarians who specialize in engineering. You have to have, aside from having a master's degree in library science, you also need to have a master's degree in engineering. Same with, you know, academic librarians who are, you know, interested in the humanities. Oh, I'm just reading the chat, thanks. Yeah, if you're going to become a special librarian, law librarians have to have a JD. So basically a law degree in order to become a law librarian. And so I have a master's degree in library science, but I also have an additional master's degree in community informatics. So depending on what type of librarianship you want to pursue and your personal interests, you know, there's definitely a lot of different ways to augment your library science degree. There's even, you can get a PhD in library science, and those are usually administrative positions if you want to become like a director in the library or something like that. So personality traits, librarianship is not what most people think of it as. It is not sitting around reading books all day, as much as I would love it to be. You do work a lot with the public. You, unless you become interested in like cataloging, which means like processing books and things like that, you spend 75% of your day out with the public, whether it's doing outreach events like I do, or you're helping people at the desk. You have to have people skills, including communication. Communication is super important. Adaptability is also very important because library services evolve along with our changing culture. We have to. Otherwise, we don't become relevant anymore. You know, hence the transition from physical books mostly to ebooks and online services. During COVID, we hugely ramped up our ebooks and online offerings, you know, because the library was closed for a while. Let's see. And you have to have the ability to work with a team or on your own. Both are very important because a lot of projects you do are going to be with an entire department, and sometimes you may be working on by yourself in a special project. My professional advice is get practical experience in the field you intend to pursue before you start your education. Whether that means, if you're a doctor, whether that means you volunteer at a library, shadow a doctor, be creative about how you get your practical experience, because the career you choose for yourself may not be what you expect it to be like day-to-day reality. So that's my biggest advice.
Well, thank you very much. I think that's wonderful advice. And I think, you know, maybe a question, I can open it up. We just have a minute or two for questions, but kind of this idea of like, you know, our students that are watching that are interested in the education field, like what, you know, what's like where can they start in terms of right now in high school, you know, like the class to take or the extracurricular activity or the part-time job, like, you know, what would be your biggest advice to them? Would it just be, you know, find an area and give it a try? You know, I'm curious as to what you guys would think about that.
Well, I would think that one of the things you want to do, there's a lot of community organizations that will take volunteers, 16, 17, 18-year-olds. So if you're looking to work with children or the public or things like that, to go and find some of these organizations. I'm sure you can tap into your school counselors also, and they would have some of those names of where you could call, and get yourself some volunteer experience first, and then go from there.
Yeah, kind of that idea of, you know, give an area a try, and we learn from what we like and from what we don't like. So, and service to the community is always, yeah, great, great. All right, so I'm going to share my screen again here. And all right, so thank you to all of our panelists for sharing such wonderful information and advice to all of our students. Like I said, to all of our students and families watching from home, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them into the Q&A and we'll be happy to answer those for you. And now I'm going to turn back to Ms. Castro, and she's going to share some next steps with all of you that are on our call tonight.
All right, so thank you so much to all the panelists. Now that you've had the opportunity to explore a variety of careers, you don't stop there. Continue your career exploration and post-high school planning. Take a look at the suggestions on this slide, which is also on the website. Career interest surveys can be completed using Zello app on your iPad. So students, you guys are pretty well aware with this. We've done this in your sophomore lessons. There's junior lessons. Zello is a wonderful app. Schedule meetings with your student services staff members, like, you know, your school counselor, or if you have questions about being a psychologist or a social worker, or an administrator, principal. It's always good to ask people those questions. Lastly, plan to attend a career track. So Mrs. Turner, we have wonderful career advisors across the district, and they're organizing some wonderful events for all of you. So please join a career track, research an internship, some job opportunities, go on some college visits, visit the campuses like Triton and Harper, and, you know, anything that's local. Those are all good things to do. College of DuPage, they all have programs that are really, really wonderful. So plan college visits as needed, and just do some research and ask questions.
All right, thank you, Ms. Castro. And just as a reminder, the recordings of this and all the other sessions are going to be available on the website. So if you joined us late, or, you know, there was another one that you wanted to watch that was running concurrently, you'll be able to do so. All right, we wanted to thank again all of our panelists here tonight, sharing this wonderful advice with all of us. And everyone, have a great rest of your night. Thank you.